It is 2 a.m. in New York City. You step out of a bar. The street is dark. You start walking, and without thinking about it, you scan every shadow, every footstep behind you. This is just something people in New York do automatically. It's not fear. You just call it common sense. Now, it is 2 a.m. in Tokyo. A young woman walks alone. She isn't scanning the shadows. She's looking at her phone. Leisurely. Relaxed. Nobody is following her. Nobody is watching her. This is completely, totally, mundanely normal in Tokyo. So here is the question that should keep you up at night. What does Japan know that America doesn't? And more importantly, what is the dark price Japan pays for it? This video has 3 parts. The reality, the reasons, and the dark secret hiding behind Japan's safety miracle. Let's go. Part 1, the reality. New York City, 2025. 305 murders for the year. Sounds manageable? That's nearly 1 homicide every single day. In 2025, NYC recorded 688 shooting incidents, which sounds much better until you realize that's still nearly 2 shootings every single day. And that number was celebrated as a historic low. New York's violent crime rate, around 636 incidents per 100,000 residents. Felony assaults are now at their highest level since 1998, rising for 6 straight years. There are 29,841 felony assaults per year in New York. That's 97 assaults for every single murder. The city is safer than the 1990s, but that bar was set in a very dark place. Now cross the ocean. All of Japan, a country of 125 million people, recorded 1,361 robberies in 2023. Total. For the entire year. For the entire country. Japan's homicide rate, 0.25 per 100,000. The United States, 5.6 per 100,000. Japan is more than 22 times safer by this measure. Japan's total crime has fallen over 70% from its post-World War II peak. Street crime, purse snatching, car break-ins, down 80%. These are not rounding errors. This is a civilization-level difference. Gun deaths in Japan per year, around 50. Across the entire country. In the United States, over 45,000. Japan has 125 million people. America has 335 million. Do the math. In Tokyo, a city of 14 million people, you can leave your laptop on a cafe table to go to the bathroom. It will still be there when you come back. This happens every day. In Tokyo, children as young as 6 or 7 years old ride the subway to school alone. No parent. Just a small child, navigating a megacity by themselves. That is not naive. That is what happens when an entire society functions at a different level of safety. So, how did Japan build this? That's part 2. Part 2, why? And this is where it gets fascinating. Reason 1. The Koban. Japan's secret weapon is not a massive police headquarters. It is a tiny box, on every street corner, staffed around the clock. As of April 2024, Japan operates 6,215 Kobans, urban community police boxes, plus 5,923 live-in outposts where officers and their families actually reside in the neighborhood. Officers at Kobans know their neighborhood. They know the regulars. They conduct home visits. They know who lives where, who acts strangely, who is new. Police box officers are responsible for clearing 74.6% of all criminal cases that get solved in Japan. These small boxes are the spine of Japan's crime-fighting system. Compare that to America. US police rotate between neighborhoods to prevent corruption. The result? Officers become strangers in the communities they patrol. Nobody trusts a stranger. Reason 2. Guns. In Japan, owning a gun is not a right. It is an extreme privilege, and almost nobody has one. Fewer than 400,000 civilians in Japan legally own a gun. That is less than 0.5% of the population. To buy one, you must pass a written exam, a shooting range test, a mental health evaluation, and a criminal background check. Then police inspect your home. Gun-related deaths in Japan, roughly 50 per year. In the United States, more than 45,000. When guns can't be used, violence, especially impulsive, lethal violence, drops dramatically. Reason 3. Social structure. Japan has lower economic inequality than the United States. A smaller gap between the richest and the poorest means fewer people at the edge. When people have stable housing, stable income, and access to healthcare, they don't commit crimes out of desperation. Desperation is one of crime's biggest fuels. Japan's clearance rate for homicides, 95.9%. If you commit a serious crime in Japan, the odds are overwhelming that you will be caught. That's a powerful deterrent. Japan's conviction rate in court, over 99%. The legal system is relentless. Prosecutors only take cases they are virtually certain to win. The system is designed to guarantee consequences. Reason 4, and this one is the most invisible. Culture. Japan runs on a concept called wa, harmony. The social pressure to not stand out, not cause trouble, not embarrass yourself or your family. Haji, shame, is a powerful force. In Japan, getting caught doing something wrong doesn't just affect you. It disgraces your family, your school, your company. The social stakes are enormous. This creates what some sociologists call an invisible police force. Not officers, not cameras. Just the constant awareness that you are a part of a community, and your actions reflect on everyone around you. Add it all together: community police who know your name, near zero guns, lower inequality, a 95.9% clearance rate, and a culture of collective responsibility. That's your answer. But before you say Japan figured it out, hold on. We promised you a dark side. And the dark side of Japan's safety is deeply, deeply human. Part 3: The Dark Cost. The same culture that prevents crime, the pressure to conform, to suppress yourself, to fit in, also creates something terrifying. A phenomenon called hikikomori. Hikikomori means pulling inward. A person who completely withdraws from society. Who stays home for 6 months. 2 years. Sometimes 10 years or more. A 2025 Japanese government survey found over 1.5 million people currently living as hikikomori. That is 1.2% of Japan's entire population. Completely removed from society. Here's what makes it even more troubling. The 2025 survey found the largest group of hikikomori is now aged 40 to 64. Over 600,000 people in middle age, entire lives spent in a room. Researchers call this the 8050 problem. Parents in their 80s, caring for hikikomori children in their 50s. 2 generations lost together behind a closed door. The average hikikomori spends about 10 years in isolation. Not days. Not weeks. A decade of a human life gone. Why? Because Japan's culture of conformity is also a culture of shame. If you can't keep up, if you fail at school, lose your job, miss a social cue, the shame feels unsurvivable. Japan created a cabinet minister of loneliness in 2021. A government minister. Dedicated entirely to the crisis of people being alone. That tells you everything about how serious this has gotten. The same pressure that keeps people from committing crime also suppresses people from expressing pain. Japan doesn't have a mental health problem, people say. Japan has a silence problem. Suicide rates in Japan remain significantly higher than in the United States. In 2024, Japan recorded over 21,000 suicides. The pressure to perform, and the shame of failing, has a body count. And then there's the visible crime that is rising, even in Japan. Phone and internet fraud. Anonymous scam groups called Tsukuryu, untraceable gangs formed online. Street crime is down. Digital crime is exploding. Japan is overhauling its entire Koban system. The crime they were built to fight, street crime, is vanishing. But the crime they cannot touch, digital fraud, is surging. So here is the full picture. Tokyo is safe at 2 a.m. because its society runs on conformity, community, and consequences. But those same forces, run at high enough pressure, are quietly breaking people. Two cities. Two completely different answers to the same question. How do we live together without destroying each other? New York: freedom, chaos, creativity, danger. A city where a bad neighborhood and a world-class concert hall exist 3 blocks apart. Messy. Alive. Unpredictable. Tokyo: order, safety, efficiency, precision. A city where the trains are on time, the streets are spotless, and 1.5 million souls have quietly withdrawn from it all. The safest society isn't necessarily the freest. And the freest society isn't necessarily the safest. Every country is making a trade. The question is whether they've admitted it. The children riding the Tokyo subway alone at 7 years old, they are genuinely safe. And somewhere behind a closed door in that same city, someone has not left their room in 3 years. So I want to know what you think. Is the trade worth it? Would you rather have the freedom of New York, with all its danger? Or the order of Tokyo, with all its pressure? Drop your answer in the comments right now. I read every single one. And if this gave you something to think about, subscribe. We break down how societies actually work every week. See you in the next one.